Pat, I just want to start right there. Just how you feeling? The hit maybe looked a little worse than it feels, but how are you?
I'm good. I hit my head enough times as a kid. My parents can attest to that. I got a hard head. I can take a hit on the ground pretty easily.
Matt Velasquez.
Hey Pat, you guys have had, more than a couple games in the bubble where there have been too many turnovers, not consistent defense. Where do you feel like you guys stand in terms of building yourselves back up to where you need to be after going 2-4 in the first six?
Yeah, I think we got to get better. I think we got to hold ourselves to a little bit of a higher standard, and I think it starts on the defensive end. And I think we've shown flashes, we've shown halves here and there where we've played the defense that we expect to play night in and night out. But then at other times, obviously, like you said, it lapses in offensive execution, turning the ball over, and things like that. And I think it comes down to some just mental focus and some things that we need to start making sure over these next two games we start to play the Bucks brand of basketball that everyone's kind of come to know over the last 2 years, and get ourselves prepared as the playoffs roll around, because obviously that's when we want to be at our best.
Is it hard to keep that mental focus when you know that you have sewn up that number one seed and these kind of games are just for getting back into the swing of things?
I would say that's kind of the question of any NBA team when they get to this point in the season, in a normal season, let alone one that obviously we're in a bubble during. But we want to make sure that we hold ourselves to a higher standard, and we want to make sure that we continue to play the Bucks brand of basketball. And there's been flashes, as I said, but for the majority of the time that we're down here or have been down here, we need to make sure we do a little bit of a better job.
You're right. Eric, name?
I'm curious what you thought of a couple of your bench mob guys, Marvin and George. I think have been a little bit slow, but it just really felt like George had his best game of the night, and Marvin really got into a nice little rhythm tonight as well.
Yeah, as the bench mob, we got to bring that energy. They put me on 1 game suspension since I got thrown into the starting lineup for Giannis tonight. But, we want to make sure we bring that energy no matter when we're in the game. And we feed off it for each other. And I think that's the type of energy, intensity, tenacity that we need, and starting on the defensive end, and it'll roll over onto the offensive end. It was great to see George be aggressive. We need that out of him. And he's a tremendous player and has shown that, throughout his years in the league. And same with Marvin. Marvin can shoot the ball. Marvin can do a lot of different things on the defensive end, and he plays hard. And those are the types of things that I think we need to bring to the table every night. Some nights shots are going to fall. Some nights they're not. Some nights guys are going to be open. Some nights they're not. But that intensity and that tenacity that the bench mob kind of prides itself on, and the whole team really prides itself on, is what we need to make sure we start showing and really bring night in and night out as the playoffs come forward.
Malika, go ahead.
Is the goal of the next 2 games just that, to get better on the defensive end, or are there other things? And if not, can you afford to go into the playoffs playing like this, or is it you have that time, you guys think, early on in the first round to have that be an extension and continue to work on the things that are playing you right now?
We want to obviously make sure we're ready as the playoffs get here. We don't want to be working on things in the playoffs, but to the same standard, or to the same point, we want to make sure we get better game in and game out, regardless, learning from our mistakes and things like that. We prefer not to make them, but they happen. And I think it starts on the defensive end. And then I think it starts with, some of the offensive execution, some of the turnovers, some of the sloppiness, those things that we're putting ourselves at a disadvantage during. And those are the things that obviously we didn't do much of during the regular season, up until March. So we want to make sure it starts with defense, and then it transitions itself into that offensive end as far as not turning the ball over, but also executing what coach wants us to execute.
I think it's because, these are some of the things that we usually see sometimes from you guys at the beginning of seasons for a couple of games early on. It's you guys struggle a little bit to find your rhythm. Is it just because of the long layoff that's the pattern that you're back into?
It could be, but I think, again, it comes down to that mental fortitude, mental focus that coach demands out of us and expects out of us, and we need to expect out of each other. As far as, we've been down here for, a few weeks now. We've played 6 games. We've come to a point in the season where we're getting very close to playoffs, and we need to hold ourselves accountable as a team, coaching staff, everybody, on the things that we've shown we've lacked a little bit in the first 6 games.
Kane Pittman.
Hey, Pat. I asked Bud a similar question, and it was about basically the things you're talking about there. And he said, listen, there's no switch. We don't talk about flipping a switch, but you mentioned it just then. The playoffs are so close now. At what points is there some sort of, I don't know whether concern is the right word, that the playoffs are right here and you are running out of time to get this thing right before the games mean a lot?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any concern. I think it's more of a learn from the mistakes that we've made thus far, and that, again, mental focus of locking in for a 48-minute game. We came out against the Heat very, very slow. And then the second half, we looked a lot like ourselves. The Celtics game, obviously, we looked like ourselves. And then flashes over the last few games, we've looked like ourselves, but we haven't been able to sustain it. And I think as, the playoffs come around over the next 2 games, a mixture of both, we want to make sure that we start to sustain it, especially on the defensive end. And I think it's that energy, that effort, that, covering for each other that we do so well on the defensive end that we want to make sure we start to bring back, no matter who's on the floor. I think that's something that we've shown over the course of the year, the last 2 years. We have some depth, but we have to bring that tenacity on the defensive end in order to show that depth. So once we do that, and as we continue to make sure we hold each other accountable so that we do that, I think it'll translate over to the offensive end, and that execution, that crispness, that ball movement, the things that everyone's come to expect from the Milwaukee Bucks will follow right along.
Great. Thanks, Pat.
No problem.
Pat,
No problem.
have a wonderful night.
No.